Hey guys, it's Story. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. This is my channel Storybook and I talk about books and streaming usually, but today we are talking about the Enneagram. I mean, we're still talking about books in this video, obviously. We are doing some BookTuber versus their Enneagram trials. I guess I still don't know what to call this. Basically what we're doing here, if you haven't seen the videos before this, is an Enneagram mini-series here on my channel where I first gave a ton of book recommendations based on the Enneagram types. There are 12 recs per type, so I will put those videos in the description below or in a card up here somewhere. You can get your recs there, of course, but also within these 3 videos, you not only will get those same recs, but you will see your own Enneagram type, go through the recs, tell you which ones they liked, which ones they didn't like, so you can get an authentic recommendation for your type. And not only that, but they will be trying one of those book recs and we will see what they think about it. I'm so excited to do this. Thank you to everyone who participated. I love all of these YouTubers. They all have really great channels. I will leave their channels in the description down below for the video that they were in, and also I'll leave the Enneagram Institute's website down below. That's where I get all my information about the types if you want to look into it, figure out what your type is. There's a quiz on there, but I would not recommend taking the quiz. You should always type yourself. Once you read your type, you know, like, when I discovered my type, I felt like someone finally understood me and my mind, my thought process, my actions. It's really weird. You just put yourself in this group. You'll probably be like me and become obsessed with the Enneagram. Also in this video, we tried out Enneagram Coffee, which is a coffee brand that has different roasts based on your type. So I'll leave their website down below. They kindly gave me a discount code that I will leave down below. As well, I tried the Type 3's coffee because I am a Type 3, and then we tried the Type 5 coffee. Also, there are a ton of sources where I got all these book recs from. I watched every YouTube video there is for book recommendations around the Enneagram, and also I read a bunch of articles, and so I compiled those all together, made my recs, and then sent all of that to these YouTubers. So of course I will have all my sources down below, but without taking up too much time, let's go ahead and get into the different Enneagram groups, or the centers, the triads, whatever you want to call them. That is how I have organized these videos. Organization is everything to me. 3's where you at. So the Enneagram types are separated in 3 different groups. This will really help you out if you don't know your type. It's a good place to start. So once you know that, you only have 3 types to figure out instead of looking at all 9 types. First, we have the Heart Triad, better known as the Feeling Center. Their strengths and liabilities are based around the feeling of shame, and their personalities have been created because of their internal feelings. Types 2, 3, and 4, the Helper, the Achiever, and the Individualist. So just to give a brief explanation of the heart, these types have a focus that is of their own value and identity. Their concern is their own image, or how other people see them, which creates problems associated with their identities. Types in the Heart Triad can experience a more chronic sense of shame, which expresses in their behavior and their inner experience of their own right to be without having to do anything else to prove it. Until they become aware of how they are affected by this concern for their own image, hostility can become an issue for them. Each type will channel it differently as part of the expression of their type. So that's some background to the Heart Triad so that you can easily understand it. It's actually really funny receiving all these videos. The Type 2 and 4, along with myself, were so detail-oriented. They gave me everything I needed. They explained their type so well. It made sense. Like, their feelings were in it, they care a lot, and that's why I personally love 2, 3s, and 4s. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the Type 2s, see who it is, see what the book recs are, and what she reads.
Never insult Albus Dumbledore.
Well, I'm not gonna kill anybody with a sack of flour.
To be very honest, I was just so excited about this book club that it became really hard to focus on actually reading the book. But I'm just so excited that you guys are here, that we're talking and hanging out. This is so fun!
Hi everyone, my name is Megan. I'm from Mythical Megan, and I am known as Type 2. Type 2 are love seekers and or helpers, caregivers. Their traits are generous, people-pleasing, and possessive. And I definitely see this in myself. There's something in this article that I want to quote because it applies to me so heavily, and it's basically why I think that I am exactly this type. Above all, they want to be loved and appreciated by others. On the negative side, they can become physically ill by neglecting themselves and are prone to health complaints as a way to express their dependency needs. I would say that a phrase that really applies to me is that quote about don't burn yourself to keep others warm, and that's exactly who I am as a person. I am not happy unless everyone surrounding me is happy. I would do anything to make others happy. I would say that my number one priority in life over success or anything of that nature is being appreciated, but also relationship building. I would say that relationships are my biggest priority in life and making sure that those are good. Also, my biggest fear in life is disappointing people, which I think fits very well into this category. So while we sound like a really great and generous and caring person, we have a lot of issues ourselves. I can assure you that. Okay, so now we are going to select our type 2 book recommendation. Story was kind enough to send a ton of different sources and recommendations and formats and everything. So I'm just gonna name a few here. We have Nevermore, we have Felix Ever After, Regretting You, Little Women. As you can see, that's one of my absolute favorites. We have An Ember in the Ashes. We have The Secret Lives of Introverts, The 24-Hour Cafe. Absolutely tons of book recommendations, and there's even more beyond this. I have read Felix Ever After, and it is one of my favorites. It is a story about a black trans queer man that is just going through high school. He's about to graduate and go to college. He's trying to figure out his life, and all he wants to do is be loved, which is exactly type 2, which makes so much sense why I loved that book. Little Women is also one I really love. That one obviously stands out to me. And then a few others that stood out to me. An Ember in the Ashes is one that has been on my TBR for a while, so it might have just jumped to the top. And also The 24-Hour Cafe kind of stood out to me. It seemed like an interesting synopsis / concept. So between those top 3 that stood out to me, I think I'm gonna go with An Ember in the Ashes. However, I do want to read the other few, and I'm not gonna lie, I do want to reread Little Women. It's been a while since I read it, and I'd love to jump back into that story. But I do believe An Ember in the Ashes is going to be the book that I go with for this video. Hey everyone, it's Megan, and I'm here to review An Ember in the Ashes. This is the book I chose for Enneagram Type 2, and I think it was absolutely perfect. I do believe it was chosen for this type because Laya, Elias, Helene, all of these characters, I believe, could fall into the Type 2 category. Type 2, which is the helper, is very selfless, and they do things for people. They have a bad habit of falling into that don't burn yourself to keep others warm type mantra. So I think they totally fall into this because Laya is willing to sell herself as a slave to save her brother, and Helene is willing to die, and Elias is willing to die for people they love. So I think this is totally a Type 2 book. An Ember in the Ashes follows 2 different perspectives. First, we have Laya, whose brother was stolen. In order to save him, she tries to get aid from the resistance, and they send her off to the Blackcliff School to be a slave, aka a spy for the resistance. And then we also are following Elias, who is the son of our Blackcliff School commander. He is absolutely not okay with being part of this Empire Blackcliff School. He feels it's very against his morals as a person, and we're following those 2 perspectives. It's incredible. I personally think that this is one of my new favorite books of all time. I was sucked in from the very beginning. I've read it all the way through in one day. I was obsessed, and it was so good. I don't even know how to express how much I love this book, but it's definitely up there for me, and I'm so glad that this video and being part of this video made me try it out, and I'm so happy I found a new favorite.
No matter how many times you save the world, it always manages to get back in jeopardy.
Hi guys, and welcome back to my BookTube channel. Today we're going over my TBR for March, which as you guys can see is pretty extensive.
Hey yo, it's me. So let's go ahead and get the Type 3 rolling out. I love Abby Howe's maybe it's Abby Howe. I'm sorry, Abby. If you watch her video, I'll link it down below. The different types as readers. Once you get to Type 3, it's like, hey, welcome to my BookTube channel. which is literally me. So threes are called the performers or the achievers. They are extremely success-oriented, extremely goal-oriented, highly driven and ambitious. We're almost too self-disciplined in a sense that internally we are extremely critical of ourselves. We're very hard on ourselves, but outwardly, externally, we are very enthusiastic and positive about others. We tend to lift others up. A lot of times I get mistaken as a type 7 because I am very enthusiastic, but if you read into the types, you'll also see that type 3s are very enthusiastic as well. And that's because they're typically known as charmers. They want to get people to like them. They're very image conscious in a sense that they are constantly thinking about how others view them and wanting to live up to their expectations. Not only live up to expectations and goals, they want to exceed them, like beyond. Me personally, I'm extremely unhealthy with goals. Have to meet a goal and I have to exceed it. So I will push everything else aside. We have really bad trouble with workaholism, becoming extremely obsessed with one thing in particular. For example, once I discovered the Enneagram, like I am obsessed with the Enneagram. I want to completely dominate the Enneagram. That's why I'm doing these videos. But they're usually that person that just won't stop. They work all the time. They're constantly doing different things and different projects. They are the masters of the to-do list. I don't know what I would do without to-do lists. Just constantly have a to-do list in the back of my head of all the things I want to get done. I do not feel good unless I've done something productive that day. That's basically what the type is. They are extremely productive, extremely efficient, and they get very aggravated when they are in situations or environments that aren't productive, aren't efficient. Really bad, almost unhealthy, like forward thinking. Always thinking in the future, never thinking in the past, almost never even just being present. Typically, they're so outward about their image that they're going to be seen as confident and maybe even cocky, but they're really just trying to make everyone else happy, which is very similar to the type 2 and even the type 4. So yeah, that just goes back into the whole shame and heart triad. Our feelings are involved all the time. It's really hard for a 3 to take criticism, especially from authority. We just want to make authority happy. We're constantly thinking about how we're viewed by authority. It can be really mentally exhausting for a 3 in a professional setting. We just have to be the best. We just have to be the best at everything. We can't settle for anything less. We want to be viewed as the best. We are so adaptable that we almost are seen as two-faced, but in reality, the reason why 3s are so adaptable is because they want to get everyone to like them and to view them well. The worst thing for a type 3 is to feel like they're worth nothing, that they will never live up to anything, that they won't be anything. The hardest part about being a 3, personally for me, is not being able to validate myself. I have to find validation in others. I feel like it took me way too long to explain the type 3, so let's just go ahead and get into the recs. Alright, I'm back and I'm about to go through the book recs with you guys really quick. I'm going to choose which type 3 book rec I'm going to read, but of course I have my coffee here first that I'm going to try from Enneagram Coffee. So if you didn't watch my original intro videos, I don't know exactly what to call them, but I went over all the book recs for each type. It was such a long video that I had to split it up into 2, but I did talk a little bit about Enneagram Coffee there. They kindly gave me a discount code. It is Storybook for 10% off. I'm so excited to work with them because it's just such an amazing idea. Like, I'm so excited to try this. You can try out your type's coffee at enneagramcoffee.com. These videos aren't like sponsored or anything like that. They just sent me their coffees to try. So I'm trying out the type 3 coffee in this video, and then my boyfriend will try out the type 5 coffee in the next video because he's a type 5. Anyways, if you want to try out your type's coffee, I will have a little card above here somewhere. Also, I'll put a link in the description to try out the coffees or at least look at them. Such a cool idea, but I'm really excited to try it. I don't know how to describe it, but it's definitely more savory than the type 5 coffee we tried. I don't know how to explain it, but it's literally perfect. Not super sweet. I added sugar and cream into it to make it sweet, so it's kind of like perfectly balanced It tastes very familiar too. Like, I don't know what it is, but this isn't as dark. It's much smoother and just like super balanced. I don't know how to describe it. It tastes like success. That's what it tastes like. But yeah, really, really good. I was going to try this out while going over the recs, but I just couldn't help myself. I'm a big coffee person. Type 3s usually are coffee people because it gives you more energy, so then you can do more things. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into the book recs. Of course, if you've already seen those videos I mentioned earlier, then you already know a lot of these book recs. So I will go over them very quickly because half of the recs are actually my own. So if you want more information on those books that I personally recommended, then I will have those videos linked down below, of course. But you will see I'm wearing my type's color. It is purple or dark purple because the type 2 is light purple. But you'll see on the left side, the left 6 are my recs. So obviously I'm not going to read any of those. I've already read them. My top recs for a type 3 are The Hating Game and The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. So The Hating Game you've probably heard of before. It's like the ultimate hate to love book. It is a work romance. They're up for the same promotion. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck is a non-fiction by Mark Manson. It literally just teaches you how to not care so much where it's not needed. Basically, it's really good. Me and my boyfriend both really love Mark Manson. And then I also have The Honey Don't List and Dating You Hating You on here by Christina Lauren. Those are some more romance recs. Of course, I love Christina Lauren. They're both work romances as well. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. One of my favorite books of all time. It's just so interesting. The main character, Evelyn Hugo, is definitely a type 3, I think. She's definitely a Slytherin too, but you're basically learning about the 7 husbands she had and why they're relevant to her story now. Evelyn Hugo is a fictional version of Marilyn Monroe. I feel like a lot of people don't know that. I can't take up too much time because I am sharing this video with other people. So Caraval, of course, I talk about this literally all the time. I wanted to give a fantasy rec for the type 3, and so that means we have these other 6 to choose from. So the thing is, 3 of these books I have wanted to read for the longest time. The first one is Skyward. I actually just got this book based on these recs I found. I've wanted to read Skyward since it came out, basically. I know the main character is a type 3, and I don't read very many sci-fis often, but I do want to give them more of a chance because why not? Also, it's got the purple theme going on. And yeah, I really just want to try out Brandon Sanderson, and I heard this is a really good book to try out because it's really light. It's not like a high fantasy. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder I wanted to read for the longest time. I watched a virtual event with Holly Jackson once, and she just completely persuaded me to pick up this book. I'm not a thriller person, but I am a mystery person, although I am in a contemporary mood right now because it's the summer. An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. So I don't know much about this, but I do know I want to read it. I believe there are a bunch of robots that show up in this city or the country or something, but no one knows where they came from. So I don't know if it would be a fantasy or a sci-fi, but that's definitely interesting to me. The video I watched, the girl said that it was perfect for a type 3 because the main character is a type 3. And so I really want to read a book where the character is a type 3 because I really want to be able to say like, okay, this character really is a type 3 and you will see yourself in her shoes. That's definitely a top contender. The Wall of Winnipeg and Me. I believe this is a romance. It might be a pretty steamy romance. And so I definitely added it to my TBR a while back. I'm just not sure how it relates to a type 3, to be honest. Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. I have always been interested in her books. I've always almost bought Uprooted so many times, but I'm kind of hesitant because I believe the books are pretty big and it's like its own world. So I don't know. I'm not big into fairy tales. And The Shelf by Helly Acton, I have no idea what this is about. I know it's a romance. I don't know. I think I'm gonna get rid of the romances because I've been reading nothing but romance lately. The other 4 I'm trying to choose between, so I'm gonna go on my audiobook app and see what I have as an audiobook because the only one I have physically is Skyward, and I have not been reading books physically this year. I've been doing like really bad reading books physically. I can listen to an audiobook so fast, so I probably won't be reading Skyward. By the way, if you don't already have an audiobook app, I use audiobooks.com. I'm actually an affiliate with them, so you can get your first 3 3 audiobooks free. I'll have a link in the description if you want to do that. I know a lot of people will just like get the 3 free audiobooks and then deuce out. That's okay too, whatever you want to do. Okay, looks like A Good Girl's Guide to Murder is on here, but Spinning Silver is not. An Absolutely Remarkable Thing is on here, and it is way shorter than A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Skyward is not on here, so I basically have to choose between A Good Girl's Guide to Murder and An Absolutely Remarkable Thing. And so I'm interested in both of these, but I can't read a thriller right now. I'm never in the mood for thrillers. Like even during the fall time, I'll read like one and then I'm like, okay, I'm done. But of course I have like 1,000 on my shelf. So yeah, I think I'm going to read An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. I was looking at the synopsis and I think it's something I will be pretty into. I just haven't given it a chance before until now. It's definitely gonna be semi-contemporary, but I don't know how like sci-fi it's gonna be or how like maybe fantasy. I really just don't know what to expect, but I don't know. Is Hank Green John Green's brother? Because John Green is from Indiana, which is where I'm from, and I've read a John Green book before and I really liked it, so it's gonna be interesting to read from his brother, if so. Okay, so I have officially finished An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green, and you guys, this is the perfect book for type 3s. Like, I cannot stress it enough. I absolutely love this book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Of course, I have like wanted to talk about this book so badly. I didn't vlog my experience reading it really just because there are other booktubers in these videos, so I don't want to take up too much video time, and you know me, I talk quite a bit. Excuse the mess in the background. Also, it's starting to get dark outside, so I'm probably gonna lose lighting here soon, but oh my god, absolutely perfect for type 3s. If you are a 3 and you are looking for book recommendations, definitely give this one a try. I'm going to be listening to the second book ASAP. It's so good, and it was kind of left on a cliffhanger, so I really need to know what happens next, but I'm so excited. I have a type 3 book recommendation now. I related to the main character, April May, so much. Immediately I related to her. I found out this book was a sci-fi. I don't read sci-fi very often. I guess it is a sci-fi since it's technically like robots, aliens, that sort of thing, like an outside life, like extraterrestrial type of life. Yeah, I'm trying to think of examples of how April May was a type 3, but she is a type 3 to a T. Things she said and things she did and her relationships, her work ethic, everything about her is a type 3, so you will definitely relate to the main character if you are a 3. Such a good commentary on social media and how we treat celebrities and influencers and how fast someone can go from, you know, being an average person to being very well known in an instant, and what that can do to that person, how strange it is, and just a really good commentary on social media and just like kind of media in general. Yeah, she has a YouTube channel. She's a type 3, so like obviously I'm going to relate to her, but she's super ambitious. She is young and is going into her professional career. She's just super hardworking and young and has those same type of thoughts that I do just naturally when it comes to my professional life. And I mean, just the story by itself was so entertaining. It was so much fun. There's so much mystery. I have to read a book that has at least a little bit of mystery to keep me intrigued. I am a reader that reads for entertainment. I don't really read to be critical like a lot of people here on YouTube. And yeah, this book was just super entertaining. You are constantly trying to guess what is going on with these robots. April May and the rest of the world really are getting clues that lead to other clues. And so it's a lot of fun. I almost related to her so much that I feel like if I was put in the same situation that she was, I probably would have done the exact same things, like reacted the same way. I'm so happy that I picked this one up. Like I said, I'm going to pick up the next one almost immediately. I wasn't going to write a review or anything about it so that I could keep this more of a secret TBR, but I just had to. I was so excited for this book. And yeah, I'm just really happy I read it. So again, if you are a type 3 and my recommendations weren't enough, you have to read this book. Like, this is going to be perfect for you. Even if you're not a sci-fi reader, I'm not a sci-fi reader. The author, Hank Green, is so smart. He speaks the truth, let me tell you. I'm gonna stop talking so much and let the next booktuber do her thing. This feels a little weird because I'm used to doing an outro, but instead I'm like transitioning you to the next person. So thanks for watching. See you soon.
I'd much rather dream about Padme. Just being around her again is intoxicating.
You can't beat the tangible feeling of a real book, not a Kindle. I mean, think how many people's fingers have touched this page. Was it their wedding day? Were they on a tropical vacation sipping a cafe au lait at a Paris cafe?
Hi everyone, my name is Allie and I'm from Allie with Books, and I'm representing the Type 4 Enneagram. So Type 4s are typically described as being moody, creative, reserved. We really love nostalgia and reminiscing on the past, and we tend to be okay with sitting in our sadness. So I feel like for me, I definitely really connect with being a Type 4. I am definitely super creative. I'm really reserved if you know me in real life. I've always been described as super shy, and I'm always bringing up sad, slightly negative memories to the chagrin of like everybody around me. And I also see some of my favorite characters being typed as a Type 4. So there's usually people like Kylo Ren, Anakin Skywalker, Elsa I also see as a Type 4. Okay, so here we have the Type 4 recommendations, and I'm just gonna go through them a little bit and see if I've read any of them. So the first one is Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, and I have read that book and I can totally see why it'd be a Type 4 recommendation. It definitely focuses a lot on creativity and writing, and I think that that's perfect for a Type 4. The next book is Anxious People by Frederick Bachman, and I have not read that one, but I've heard really good things about it. The next book is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern, and that's actually the book I'm gonna be reading for this video. I'm so excited to read it. I haven't read this one yet, and it's been sitting on my shelf for about a year, and I'm really glad that now I have the perfect excuse to read it. And the next book is also by that author, and that is The Night Circus, which I read a couple of years ago. I think that that's a perfect Type 4 recommendation. The next one is Delirium by Lauren Oliver. I have read that book. It's been a while, but I can definitely see why it's a Type 4 rack. Sweet Bitter by Stephanie Danler. I have read that book. I didn't really like it, but I can kind of see why it'd be a Type 4 rack. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I haven't read that book, but I have read Daisy Jones and the Six, and I love that book. The next one is Atheists Who Kneel and Pray by Taryn Fisher. I haven't read that one, but it looks really interesting. And the very last one is Caraval by Stephanie Garber, and I have read that book. I love that book so much. I've met Stephanie Garber. That is one of my favorite series. And like I said, I am going to be reading this book, The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. I'm so excited to read it. It looks like it's going to be a really, really great book. I love the end pages. They're so gorgeous, and I really hope that it's a good Type 4 recommendation because I really love The Night Circus, so I'm hoping that I equally love The Starless Sea. It says, a Romeo and Juliet tale drenched in magic realism. The Night Circus defies both genres and expectations. So that's some pretty high praise for this book, and I hope it doesn't let me down. Alright, so I finally finished my book, and that was The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern, and this was recommended for a Type 4. So I ended up giving this book a 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I started reading it physically. For some reason, just the physical words on the page were just not clicking with me. And so I ended up switching over to the audiobook, and immediately it was like, okay, now I can see the story. It's really resonating with me now. And the audiobook just has this really calming sort of energy, so I just really enjoyed listening to it. So I 100% recommend the audiobook. It was narrated so well, and it truly captured the essence of this story. And I think that this book is a really great example of what Erin Morgenstern is really great at in her writing. She really focuses so much on characterization and fleshing out each of these little characters that are in her stories and making them feel like full, well-rounded characters. And also the way that she commands language is so breathtaking. I mean, I read The Night Circus a couple of years ago, and I really love the writing style in that book, and I think that it's perfected in this one. And I think that if you liked The Night Circus, you're going to really like this book as well. It has that same storytelling style that Erin Morgenstern uses in that book. You're following the main character, but then you're also getting to see the perspectives of other lesser characters and other kind of stories that are set in this universe, and I really appreciated that. It just kind of builds up the world and makes it feel so much more real. Okay, so now whether I feel like it's a good recommendation for a Type 4, I can definitely see where people would recommend this for a type 4. It focuses a lot on storytelling and on characterization, and it's definitely a really lush kind of novel. It has a lot of layers. It's very complex, both emotionally and tonally. However, if it was up to me, I would recommend this for a type 5. I feel like the book's focus is so much more on knowledge than anything else, and for me that fits so much more into a type 5. I think if I was to like specifically type this book, it would be a type 5 wing 4, and then the Night Circus would be a type 4 wing 5. With the Night Circus, it definitely has that indescribable type 4 feeling. It's kind of hard to describe type 4 books because it's the same thing with trying to describe the type itself. With a lot of other types in the Enneagram, you can kind of have this one specific thing that represents each type. But with a type 4, it's a little bit more abstract, so that makes it a little harder to find specific recommendations for that type. Because when you're trying to find a type 4 book, you kind of have to find that indescribable thing that makes it a type 4. I think my perfect type 4 book would be The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. That just has that quality. It has the emotional aspect, reminiscent aspect, it has a historical aspect, and it's really all about identity and finding yourself, which is something that is really special and close to a type 4. And with this book, it felt like it was more about knowledge and discovery, which seems more type 5 to me. But overall, I can definitely see where it would be a type 4 recommendation because it does go back into the past, and I think that for a type 4, the past is something that's really special. However, at the end of the day, I would recommend this to a type 5. So overall, I really enjoyed this book, and I would totally 100% read another Erin Morgenstern book in the future.